President-elect Donald Trump was interviewed on Meet the Press over the weekend, and among other things, he discussed the topic of immigration. Here's what he had to say about his plan to potentially not only deport undocumented immigrants, but also deport relatives of those immigrants who are in this country legally.
So I'm talking about parents who might be here illegally, but the kids are here legally. Your borders are
You're talking about separation.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are two aspects to this. Your borders are, Tom Homan said, they can be deported together.
Correct.
Is that the plan?
Well, that way you keep well, I don't want to be breaking up families, so the only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together, and you have to send them all back. Even
kids who are here legally?
Well, what you're going to do if they want to stay with the father? Look, we have to have rules and regulations. You can always find something out like, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. I'll tell you what's going to be horrible. When we take a wonderful young woman who's with a criminal, and they show the woman, and she could stay by the law, but they show the woman being taken out, or they want her out, and your cameras are focused on her as she's crying, as she's being taken out of our country, and then the public turns against us. But we have to do our job.
And obviously the end of that there was just barely comprehensible word salad. He's concocting in his mind a nightmare scenario about people becoming sympathetic to an individual that is about to be deported and that turning public opinion against his deportation program. And wouldn't that be the worst thing ever? Because, we have to do it. We have no choice. It would just be awful if the public turned against us on this, because we absolutely have to do this. And in the same vein, earlier in the clip, he says, well, the only way people don't want separations. They don't want children to be separated from parents and so forth. So the only way to avoid separation is to just deport everybody. That's the only way. I think we all know that's not the only way of avoiding separating families through deportation. There's another fairly obvious option to keeping the families together other than deporting them all. But anyway, I want to play you another clip of Trump being asked about a related topic. This also has to do with immigration, and this is about his intention to end birthright citizenship.
The 14th Amendment, though, says that, quote, all persons born in the United States are citizens. Can you get around the 14th Amendment with an executive action?
We're going to have to get a change. We'll maybe have to go back to the people, but we have to end it. We're the only country that has it.
Through an executive action?
We're the only country that has it. Do you know, if somebody sets a foot, just a foot, 1 foot, you don't need to, on our land, congratulations, you are now a citizen of the United States of America. Yes, we're going to end that because it's ridiculous.
Through executive action?
Well, if we can, through executive action.
First of all, Trump is wrong when he says that the United States is the only country that confers citizenship in the way that we do it. In Canada, they also confer citizenship on people who are born on Canadian soil, regardless of the citizenship status of their parents. Same thing is true in Mexico. Lots of other countries do it this way. Not all countries do it the way we do it. In Europe, it's more common for citizenship to be conferred upon people based on where their parents are citizens. But lots of countries do it the way we do it. So when Trump says, we're the only country that does this, he's wrong. He may be honestly wrong because he's a fucking dipshit, or he may be lying because he's also a fucking liar. It's hard to tell which is which, and it's usually some combination of both. But I want to examine the logic that he's using there, whether he realizes he's using logic. And is it really logic if you're not consciously using it? I don't know. Anyway, he says, we're the only country that does it. And he says that as though that is one reason why we should change it. Now, I just said that's not true. We're not the only country that does it, but let's just assume that we were the only country that did it. If we were the only country that granted citizenship to people who were born in the United States, whether their parents were citizens or not, and the fact that we were the only country that did it that way was a reason why we should stop doing it that way, by that same logic, shouldn't we reform our healthcare system? Since we are the only industrialized nation in the world, and one of the only nations in the world, period, that does not have true universal health care for its citizens. We are one of the only nations in the world that forces people to pay for their right to survive. if they find themselves in a situation where they need some kind of medical intervention to treat their illness, to improve their health, to save their life, and they can't, and if they can't afford to pay it on their own, and their insurance company doesn't cover it, or they don't have insurance coverage at all, I guess they're shit out of luck. You can only stay alive if you can afford it in the United States. We're really the only country, certainly the only comparable nation to us, that does it that way. And that being the case, if we're the only ones who do it is a reason not to do it, shouldn't we be doing something about that? Or how about our gun-related death problem? Our gun violence problem in general. Again, among comparable nations, among industrialized nations, we are the only country with anything close to our level of gun violence and our rate of gun-related deaths. We are by far the outlier in the industrialized world. And since we're the only ones with this problem, and since being the only one with a particular problem is a reason to do something about it, and judging by the urgency with which Trump is approaching this immigration quote-unquote problem, we should want to fix this problem really fast, right? This is embarrassing. This is outrageous. We're the only country in the world with this problem. We're the only country in the world that does it this way. We need to fix this now. Where's that attitude for our gun violence problem? Where's that attitude for healthcare reform? Doesn't exist. Trump doesn't really care about those things. His ideas, his concepts of plans for healthcare reform certainly don't seem to be moving in the direction of universal healthcare. Certainly don't seem to be moving in the direction of Medicare for all or some other similar system that would guarantee health coverage to everybody regardless of their ability to pay for it. Whatever healthcare reforms he attempts during his next administration will almost certainly be in the opposite direction. So he's not worried about that problem. He's not worried about the gun violence problem. He's not going to do anything about the gun violence problem except possibly make it even worse and make it even easier for people to get guns and to kill people in this country. So he's not going to address that problem at all, even though those problems are also virtually unique to the United States. But the idea that we are the only country that confers birthright citizenship upon people. Anyone who is born within our borders is automatically a United States citizen. And since, according to Trump, we're the only country that does that, well, we need to do something about it now. We need to fix it. This is outrageous. No other country does this. And it's not even true, but Trump either thinks it's true or knows it's not really true, but wants you to think it's true and wants you to accept it as a reason for wanting to change it, wanting to change the Constitution, because birthright citizenship in the United States is guaranteed in the Constitution. The 14th Amendment, it has been a part of the Constitution. It has been a guaranteed constitutional right since 1868. And Trump thinks it's such a serious problem and a unique problem in the United States that he wants to get rid of that amendment that has been on the books, that has been a part of the Constitution since 1868. That's how important Trump thinks this problem is to solve as soon as possible. It's one of his top priorities as president. And yet, for some reason, those other problems that actually do exist and are actually unique or nearly unique to the United States, he has no urgent interest in at all. And it just makes me think, maybe his stated reason for worrying about this, maybe his stated motivation, which at least in part is, this is embarrassing, we're the only country that does this. We need to stop doing things the wrong way and start doing things the right way. Start having sensible immigration policy like other countries. Makes me think that, I don't know, maybe that's not really what is motivating him. And that's not really what is motivating the other people in his circle, the people that will serve him in his incoming administration, that are going to be pushing for these immigration policies. People like Stephen Miller, people like Tom Homan, these people who are going to be shaping our national immigration policy for hopefully only the next 4 years. We'll see. Makes me think that maybe they're not actually motivated by this desire to bring American immigration policy and American citizenship policy more in line with the rest of the world, even though that's not actually true, but that's what they say. Makes me think that they're motivated by something else. Just like how they say that, well, they want to deport all of these millions and millions of people, because they came in the country illegally. They're not supposed to be here. They're undocumented, and that's all we're concerned about. We're not anti-immigration. We're not anti-immigration. We're pro-immigrant. We're just anti-undocumented immigrant, and that's all we're doing. We're only going after the people who are here illegally. Well, and maybe some people who are here legally, and also there's a bunch of people over here who are here legally, but we don't like the way they got their legal status, so we're going to try to take away their legal status and then deport them too. It makes it seem like, the whole illegal thing, the whole undocumented thing, isn't really what they have a problem with. It starts to look like maybe what they have a problem with is just the fact that they're immigrants. I don't know.